Hello, welcome back. Today we're making my famous cornbread dressing just in time for the holidays. If you make this recipe, it will be a hit. Here's everything that you'll need, and as always, it will be listed in the description. So first we're going to brown that sausage with that Jimmy Dean sage sausage. It has to be the one with the sage. You're going to brown it really, really well, and don't worry about thinking you're going to burn it because it really needs to be browned very well. It'll moisten up once we add it back to the dressing recipe. You already saw that I had already diced up fairly small a small onion as well as about 4 stalks of celery. Then we're going to add that into our sausage mixture and just give that a brief fry. After a few minutes of frying, we're going to go ahead and add in our next ingredient, which is a stick of butter. I do love butter, and what that's going to do is actually help this browning process for the meat as well as the vegetables. Speed up that browning process and get it to a more browned and more translucent vegetable texture. Okay, and now I'm going to add in about 2 cups of chicken broth. I had to make this chicken broth, but that's why it looks so yellow. But if you can just use canned chicken broth or box chicken broth, then I'm going to add in all of my poultry seasonings and pepper. What I'm not adding in so far is salt, so keep that in mind. It's because we're using that chicken broth. Depending on how salty your chicken broth is, you may or may not have to add salt. So I have not added any salt. Gave that a good stir. Let it simmer for just a few minutes. And now it's time to add in our baked cornbread. Much better if you can bake this cornbread the day before. As you saw from mine, I actually had to eat a piece of cornbread because it was so yummy. But try not to eat too much because you're going to need all of it for this recipe, for this cornbread dressing recipe. So going in with the cornbread. I believe this was a buttermilk cornbread that I made. But it doesn't matter if it's buttermilk cornbread or not, but this one is a buttermilk cornbread. I'm just going to crumble in all of your cornbread. And don't worry, it's just going to absorb. If you made a really big cornbread, though, you want to make sure you don't add in all of it. It's really going to depend on how much liquid you have, and then as well as the consistency that you want to your cornbread dressing, how much cornbread and or broth you add. So as you saw, it was like a 9x9 pan or an 8x8 pan of cornbread. And like I said, it was about 2 cups of chicken broth. Just getting that stirred in so it can absorb the chicken broth, so I can take a gauge of my texture. So right here, I didn't have all of the cornbread added in, but I will go back and add in all of the cornbread. And then just using that same exact pan that my cornbread was baked in, I'm going to pour in my cornbread dressing that we just had all mixed up on the stove. Just adding it to the same exact dish. And as you can see, the consistency is soft, yet together. So you don't want it runny, but you do want it some kind of moist or soft. All right, and then this is going to go into a 350-degree oven. I believe it was in there for about 30 to 40 minutes. It really just depends on your oven. But you just pat it in, level it out, and then into the oven uncovered for about 30 to 40 minutes. And when it's done, it comes out nice and golden brown. Now, I think the light wasn't on, so it's not really that golden, but it's a perfectly golden brown and still moist yet together recipe. Make this for your family. I guarantee you're going to love it. Enjoy.